How's it going, guys? Cody, we're back again. We're dropping yet another video. Reason I haven't dropped a video for a few days, guys, I had a major problem with my phone. Like when you get to I've got 128 gigs. I had like a 16 gig memory card, and literally every time I was deleting data, it just wasn't emptying. So I just had a mega problem. So every time I was doing videos, it just cutting out. I was like, oh my God, literally 10-minute videos, bam, cut out. Anyway. So I got 128 gigabyte SD card, reset my phone, so I had to restart from scratch and reload and back everything up and crazy. Anyway, moving on. So we're covering nonces. Well, this one's not a nonce, it's a rapist. Link in the description below, like you always do. It's about a father and a mother that shot their son to the police after reading an incriminating message from their son 2 months after he raped somebody. Just listen to the sentence. Now, I'm going to do my bit at the end, guys, right? Now, like I said, I was sexually abused when I was young. I'm a former prisoner. And like I said, certain things you don't want to be in prison. Grass, child murderer, paedophile, rapist, right? Going to read the story. Going to do my bit at the end. Let's jump into it, guys. So, headline reads, I'd do it again. Dad who marched rapist son 18 to cops said it was the right thing to do. The dad who marched his rapist son to the police station has said it was the right thing to do. Jonathan Evans, 47, found out what his teenage son had done and forced him to confess. Said Dad Jonathan Evans discovered an apology text sent by son Jack to his victim and said that he had to do the right thing and admit his guilt. He told the Mirror, I would do the same thing again, and I would have to because that is my moral standing on it. It is painful, but it is right. You cannot get on with your life if you live your life under a lie. As much as it hurts, it's the right thing to do. He added, outside Merthyr Tydfil Crown Court, I wanted him to tell the truth. He had to do the right thing and admit his guilt. It's been difficult for all of us and it's caused quite a few arguments. That's probably a massive understatement. I've said to him it's the best thing for him is to show everyone that you're doing your best to rectify what has happened. First thing off the bat, you can't rectify it. It's rape. Jack Evans, 18, almost got away with a sex attack because his victim didn't make a complaint. He apologised to her by text 2 months later, but his horrified dad saw the message and insisted that he confess. Teen jailed. Police later tracked down his victim, who told them he raped me. The takeaway restaurant worker persuaded her to have sex. She changed her mind at the last minute, but he carried on, a court heard. Prosecutor Claire Pickthall said he carried on anyway, despite her telling him to stop and trying to push him off. She didn't make a complaint, but 2 months later, Evans and his stepmother turned up at a police station to say what had happened. The victim, who was a virgin, said she was left feeling worthless and unable to trust men again. He was 17 at the time, but became an adult before he was charged. Evans of Pontypool, South Wales, was jailed. Listen to this. Listen to this. He was jailed for 2 years and ordered to register as a sex offender at Merthyr Tydfil Crown Court. 2 years for rape. Gareth Williams, defending, asked for a suspended sentence because of the exceptional circumstances. I'll come back to that in a minute. He said it's extremely rare for anyone to admit such a serious offence without there being a complaint made. But Judge Tracy Lloyd Clark said there were aggravating features. I'd like to know what those aggravating features were. And Evans had to be locked up. She told him 2 months after the rape, you apologised to your victim and said you understood why she was upset. But that text came to your attention of your father and mother who took you to a police station. You told an officer your name and said you had sex with a young woman. Evans mouthed, I love you, to his tearful mother, Denise Stewart, in the public gallery as he was led to the cells. Then there's pictures of him being transferred to the back of the sweatbox. And that's the end of the story, guys. Now, his solicitor, his barrister, tried to say he asked for a suspended sentence because of the exceptional circumstances. What exceptional circumstances? That she initially agreed to have sex, or it was going that way. She might have been inebriated, like under the influence of alcohol. Once you say no, just because sexual intercourse might have started, if you say no, no means no, right? You know how I feel about sex offenders? The first thing, right, it's absolutely, the sentence is just disgusting, right? I've been in prison with kids that have got 6 months for not paying the council tax. This guy will serve 12 months for rape. Just let that register. 12 months. And then his barrister went on to try and defend him, saying it's an extremely rare for anyone to admit such a serious offence without there being a complaint. Now, again, this man raped the girl. 2 months later, he sent a message, and then his father and his wife, father and mother, found the message and literally dobbed him to the police and everything else. So he didn't do it off his own back. Right, his family, his mother and father, have obviously got strong morals, right? And I literally round of applause to them. But unfortunately, the reason where I lose respect for the father and mother is it looks like they've stood by him, right? One thing first off the bat, you cannot rehabilitate a sex offender. I think that rapists are less likely to reoffend than paedophiles, but a sex offender is a sex offender. Rape, paedophilia, it's a mental illness, right? And like I said, this guy will go on to reoffend. Does prison work? No. Does prison work for sex offenders? No, you can't rehabilitate a sex offender. He's now a convicted rapist. The reason that I'm covering the story is because it's out there, it's newsworthy. The link is in the description below. The guy's a convicted rapist. And where I applaud his mother and father for their strong stance and everything, and it's very commendable and very respected. And it must have been a hell of a hard thing to do. Like, if it was me, I don't have kids, I can't stand them, but like, it must have been extremely hard to shop your own son. He's half of you, he's half of his mother. And like I said, he's gone on to commit these offences, but to actually serve him up to the police, like I said, it's not grassing when it comes to sex offences, right? And you're shopping a rapist, a paedophile, things like that, right? It's not fucking grassing any which way. It's the right thing to do, because like I said, the offences are unredeemable, right? Like I said, for me, you can't rehabilitate them. They should be lifed off. They should bring back capital punishment, but unfortunately, that's not realistic. So with these depraved, dirty so-and-sos, right? You've got to. They should never be released from prison. They can't reoffend if they're not released, can they? Or they should be physically castrated. Not chemically, physically. Right? This guy has obviously got a screw loose in his head. No one commits rape by accident. Right? It's a deliberate act, as is paedophilia. Right? And like I said, now he will be housed. Like I said, there's a couple of prisons down in Wales. You've got Swansea, you've got Cardiff. There's another one that's slipping my mind at this moment. But like I said, he'll probably end up in the other prison that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head. But like I said, end up on the sex offenders wing, living his life out on protection. Well, living 12 months out on protection. Think about the damage that it is. Right, he'll serve 12 months in prison. He will then leave prison, go back to his life, right? Like I said, whatever job he goes for, if they've got to disclose criminal offences spent or unspent, he will have to declare this. If he doesn't and it comes to light, he will obviously be lit up. Thing is with South Wales, Pontypool's not a massive place. I've only been to South Wales on one occasion. I went to Llanelli. I spoke at a conference down there. So yeah, it's a small place, a lot of valleys and stuff like that, small little towns. Then you've got your cities like Swansea, Cardiff and everything else. But like I said, it's a small area. He's a known convicted rapist. He'll serve 12 months in prison. He'll get out. Probably, I don't know if he got a sex offenders register thing, but he'll probably be put through an SOTP. What's an SOTP? Sex offender treatment program. I've covered sex offender treatment programs in the past. There was one course that was discredited because two paedophiles did an interview on BBC Radio 4 where on the prison phone, and he was interviewed live on the program, or a pre-record, and he was asked, like, what's it like, what happens on this course. So what they said is, we're all in a classroom, all these nonces. It doesn't just hold nonces, the VP wing. Like I said, gang members, mental health, all that OP, like deadheads, things like that, own protection, everything else, rapists, paedophiles, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, and he said, there's like a hot chair in the middle of the room. Shouldn't be the hot chair, it should be the electric chair. That's how hot it should be. They put an offender in the chair, and then all these other paedophiles and rapists sit there, and they ask him questions about his offending, why he did it, how it made him feel, what depths did he what depravity level did he go to, how it made him feel, was he aroused, did he get sexual gratification. The 2 sex offenders that were interviewed by BBC Radio 4 stated that this course, which has now been discredited and gone, as far as I'm aware, they actually said that it sexually aroused us. Listening to another, and as it shouldn't do, but as it would to these perverts that are not wired up right, they're listening to another pervert, rapist, paedophile, talking about what he did in graphic detail. And these, because they're not wired up right, people like this guy here, right, they get aroused. They got aroused at what was being said and things like that. And the 2 nonces that were interviewed actually said, we believe it leads on to more thingy, because it gives you that sexual urge and stuff. Like I've said it 1,000 times. This guy's not a paedophile. He's a rapist, right? But again, they're both down there. They're in the worst, right? But I've said it 1,000 times. If you go to prison sexually attracted to men, you will leave sexually attracted to men. If you go to prison sexually attracted to women, you will leave sexually attracted to women. If you go to prison with a sexual interest in children, like I said, this guy's not a paedophile, but he's a rapist. It's just as bad, scum of the earth, right? Then you will leave sexually attracted to children. And the longer these sex offenders are in the system, they should never be released, by the way, but ultimately they are going to be released unless serving a whole life tariff, which, like I said, is very, very rare. And paedophiles don't get sentences like that unless it's child murder times about 3, 4, whatever, and then they get a whole life tariff. What's a whole life tariff? It is the American equivalent of the life without the eligibility of parole. In other words, you'll die behind bars, you've got no parole date, you've got no release date, you're going to die in prison, right? Unless you go through your appeal process, the CCRC and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so these guys can't be rehabilitated. The longer they're in, the more the sexual urges build and build and build and build and build. What happens? They get released and they go on to reoffend. Doesn't matter how many courses these dirty so-and-sos do, right? You cannot, it's just how they are. And like I said, this guy, like I said, he's going to get out of prison, right? He's going to go back to his life, going to go back to his family, right? The damage that it will have done to that girl will be lifelong, right? I was sexually abused when I was a kid, as I've gone on to. If you're just tuning into the channel, my name's Cody, former prisoner, ended up being a criminal, was sexually abused when I was young by someone that lived local to my mum and my stepdad. And the damage is lifelong. Like I said, I can't form emotional attachments with anything or anyone. I didn't turn to drugs. I didn't turn to drink. I didn't turn to self-harm. I was extremely violent. That took me into trouble with the law. I'm not blaming my criminality on what happened to me as a kid, but it's a contributing factor. I definitely believe so. But the damage it could have done to this woman, it sounded like she could have been 16, 17, 18. Right? The damage will be forever lasting. But then he'll serve a short jail term and he'll be out. Where's the justice in that? How does that send a message to any rapists out there? These rapists are not going to look at a sentence and think, oh, you get this many years for rape, right? Or 2 years or whatever. Like I said, laughable 2 years, right? But they're not going to look at a rape sentence and think, oh, well, I'm not going to rape anyone because that sentence is so high or so low, right? But like I said, it just goes to show that I honestly believe that there's rapist sympathisers and paedophile sympathisers in the police, in the courts, in the judges, in government, Prince Andrew, whatever the case may be, right? Like I said, sex offenders get joke sentences, right? And then people that don't pay tax, right? Like I said, I've said it before, I was in prison with a man that was 57 years old, got 9.5 years for tax evasion. It was a hell of a lot of money, but no physical victim, just HMRC. He got 9.5 years. This guy, literally, as she was trying to push him off, he must have forced her right, and held her down or whatever, and did what he did, right? Don't want to go into that, right? And raped her. And then these people go to prison and they're protected. He forced a woman, raped her, forced her to have sex, raped her after she said no, wanted to stop. She thought better of it. And like I said, the damage will be lifelong. And the judge is just like I said, his mum and dad sound like they've done the right thing in the initial stage, but they've stuck by him. Your son's a convicted rapist. Your family name's in tatters. The girl that he raped, his life's in tatters. I don't give a shit about this piece of shit. But that girl is damaged for life. And my heart goes out to her. And she didn't make a complaint because, like I said, I never made a complaint. A lot of people don't make complaints because they feel they're not going to be believed. They feel like embarrassed and ashamed and dirty, and like they don't think they're going to get justice. And when you see stories like this, if you are someone that has been raped, God forbid, and you see this sentence, would you coming forward so you can get 12 months in prison? Honest to God, the way we treat sex offenders in this country, right, is absolutely beyond belief. Too many human rights, too many rights, and when they commit the worst crimes imaginable, they get a slap on the wrist. Anyway, guys, going to leave it there. Pictures at the start, link in the description. Let me know what you think about this filthy piece of shit. Like, comment, subscribe. Cody out.